of our fans remember Scott when he was a player here at Oklahoma State, wanted to find the secondary people we've ever had here, in my opinion, and team captain a couple of years. And I'm going to get this out right off the bat, Harmon, before I forget. I mean, you did lead the Big Eight, I bet, back in with 8 interceptions in 1 year back in 1991. You were either lucky or the ball found you.
Well, they see a 5'8" Caucasian kid back in there, and they want to throw the ball at him a little bit, so I had a lot of opportunities to make plays.
Hey, but you think eventually, I mean, you'd say, we ought not throw that way. I mean, he's gonna come up with it eventually. Maybe we ought to try somebody else.
Well, you gotta give a little limp and bait them into it every now and then.
Yeah, you were good at doing that for sure. Hey, going up to Ponca City now, and of course, high school football just around the corner for everybody. And we were talking just a minute ago. This is your 3rd year there at Ponca, and coming off a 5-5 season. I know you. That's 5 more losses than you wanted to have. But you got to look at it that was a big jump from year 1, wasn't it?
You know, it's been 15 years since we've won 5 ball games. We had a really good senior crew that was bought into kind of our system last year. They did a really good job of kind of implementing our style of play and fitting it into what we're doing. And to be honest with you, we really should have been 6-4 and got in. Bartlesville kind of got us in a close game. But, you know, looking at all in all, when you come out there with 5 wins and you probably hadn't had 5 wins total in the last 5 or 6 years, we got to be pleased with that step.
You know, it's just my opinion, but I think sometimes culture is thrown around a little bit too much in all the sports. But you had to change the mindset. I'd rather have mindset instead of culture, and you may disagree, but you had to change that mindset when you first came in because Ponca had been struggling before you took over and still not where you want it to be. But is the mindset different now 2 years later?
Oh, definitely. You know what I mean? We've got really good facilities, so we come to work every day in top-notch facilities. The kids know what to expect. Our high school staff has not changed in 3 years with just one little bitty tweak. So we've got some uniformity in the staff. We're running the same stuff. So our mindset has went from kind of a spread, throw it around every down type, offense to more of a, hey, ball control, play great defense. And it's kept us in ball games, even when we'll go play Bigsby and it's 21-3 at half, and Lauren Montgomery, who's probably one of the best coaches I've ever coached against, says, hey, I like it, because now we actually got to go in and make adjustments against Ponca City at halftime. So it's working, you know what I mean? We just got to get better at what we're doing. We've got to try to get some athletes out of some other sports that we think could help us, you know what I'm saying? So it is a process, but we're headed in the right direction for sure, Tom.
We talked before year 1, right on the cusp of your first season at Ponca, and we discussed this, and I don't know that everybody's ever completely comfortable with the situation, but there's more direction, there's more involvement on lower levels of football in Ponca now than there was when you took over, and that's got to help.
You bet. One of the things that was very attractive for me to take this job was they put a director of football operations tag on there, and I'm the lowest level administrator you can get, which is just fine with me. You know what I mean? I kind of wanted to slide out of that administrative role and just get back into coaching. But what it does do is it lets you be in charge of the football. And really, to be honest with you, Tom, when you look at me and my family, that's all we've really ever done really, really well was football. So I'm pleased with it. I think, the community and the school system's pleased with where we're at. We just can't get content and got to keep building on what we've got so far.
They used to call it feeder systems when I was coaching here, and I think they probably do that right now. May have a fancier name, but, we're looking at the guys in the 6th, 7th, 8th grades who were doing the same stuff we were doing on a high school level, and all of a sudden when they get to our neck of the woods, they understood the terminology and exactly what was expected. Yeah,
and I use Corey Bales and the Morrison Wildcats as a prime example. They're not real fancy; they're just tougher than heck, and they know how to run that system, that wing T, right out of the womb. So, I mean, and they believe in it and they stick with it. So that's kind of what we're doing here. It's a little bit different system of offense, but it's very similar style. We possess the ball, play great defense, and try to shorten the game and eliminate mistakes.
You alluded to Bartlesville and Bixby, and your district is one that you have to have a lot of guts and determination to navigate every year. I mean, there's some heavyweights in that district.
You bet, and we picked up Choctaw, that guy down there. They've got a new young coach down there that does a really good job. So it's not getting any easier. We've got the 3 blue bloods on the east side pretty much, with Bixby, Booker T, and Muskogee. So, you really got to get in there and kind of upset somebody to kind of get a top half of the game. And then, you're probably, realistically from our end, you're probably going to be on the road, unless you just have a really, really successful regular season first round of playoffs if you get in. So our goal is to get in. To be honest with you, we fell short last year. We probably should have got in. Bartlesville did a better job of us that week and won a close ball game up here, as a matter of fact, and it ended up just kind of hurting us.
I don't care who you are. If you're Union, Ponca City, or Coweta, I mean, the more community support you have, the better the operation looks and feels. You have more of that now?
Oh, you bet. Our community is really involved. We got a great booster club. They raise a lot of money every year for us. I mean, they do some things really that kind of go above and beyond what I'm used to coming from a little small school. But our community support is outstanding, and really the biggest factor in that is our bond issues, because, man, we've put a lot of money into our school and our athletics through our bond, and that is all of our community members voting for that. So we're sure proud of that.
As you let's get into your roster a little bit. You mentioned that some of your valued and seasoned veterans that you had a year ago that helped you get to 5-5 are now gone. But what have you done to replace some of those guys?
We are young, but we are probably as athletic as we've been since I've been here. Now, some of these kids don't have a hair one on their face yet. You know what I mean? They're just babies, and they're sophomores, but they're talented. They're quick. This group of incoming sophomores is probably our best group of skill kids we've had since, 03 or 04, when those kids went to Kansas State, and then maybe the little group that went to Iowa State. But we've got some skill kids in there. They're young, but they're going to help us. They're going to have to kind of grow up on the fly, and we actually threw 3 or 4 of them in there last year as freshmen to just try to wear the new off of it, and so they'd be ready when they were sophomores.
Got a kid named Harmon who's in the quarterback scuffle, I guess, right?
Yeah, he's competing right now. We've got a junior that's a little taller and got a little stronger arm. He throws the ball down the field a little bit better. And then Grant is kind of he's a red-shirter, to be honest with you. So he could be a junior if he wanted to, but he's a red-shirt sophomore, and he's a little smaller. He runs the ball, and when we do some options and things like that to get him out on the edge, he's a little more running and versatile style of quarterback. So they're both going to play for us. I think last year we played 6 kids at the quarterback spot, including our Wildcat stuff. So they're going to have to be unselfish and be team-oriented players and just do what they can when their number's called. What's
the challenge been, not only for Scott Harmon, but high school coaches around the country, really, of trying to get this season started and try to maintain it throughout?
I think it's what we did to try to help ourselves out, Tom, and I'm old-fashioned. We stayed outside. We didn't go in the weight room at all. When they opened the weight room back up here in the Ponca City District, we just stayed outside, and we did a lot of military stuff, a lot of change of direction stuff, and we're in better running shape. We may not be quite as big as thick as we might have been if we got back in there, but I think it's helped us in preparation. We've done a lot of stuff, in terms of logistics to address locker rooms and staggering times and in and out of the weight rooms and only half the kids in the meeting room. So, I've been a principal before, but I wouldn't want to be one right now, but because I've got my hands full just doing the football part of this COVID stuff. And right now with my assistants and our administration and our athletic department, we've been very fortunate in Ponca City, and hopefully we can maintain that so we get some ball games in.
And politically correct question and answer here probably, but the state association kind of left it up to each individual school district to decide what direction they were going to take and how they were going to go. In general, did you like that choice?
No, not personally. I don't. You know what I mean? Of course, I'm not a dumbard. I know why they did it. With liability reasons, they were glad to kick that can down the street a little bit through the individual districts, and I totally get that, especially as a former administrator and principal. But I'm more of a guy that likes a uniform decision right now from the top, and everybody's doing the same thing.
And that seemed to be the discussion, I think, that took place around that initial decision. You mentioned, and maybe because I know two or three of them, and I'm impressed, but I guess you've kept your coaching staff intact, correct?
Oh yeah, we've been very fortunate to keep our coaching staff intact. Coach Parker is still our OC, Brad Parent and Michael Norquist. I brought Coach Nordy in from Harmon. Parent is a Ponca City kid. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I brought Coach Love in, who is another guy that was at Harmon with me. Coach Rowland, our defensive coordinator, is probably the best I've ever worked with. He's a Ponca City kid. We got Steve McHenry and who else is on? Ben Steichen on that side, and they're both been in Ponca City for 25, 30 years. So I'm a big, take care of your hometown people. They let me bring some people in that knew my system, and then I got to keep the ones I wanted to around. So at the high school staff, we've been very fortunate, and I think the continuity that we have is starting to kind of show its face in terms of the program, because we don't really change a whole lot up, man. We just go in there and do what we do, and we refine it, and it's starting to become a system now in our third year here. So things are in the right direction. We just got to keep it going.
You mentioned Harmony twice in about the last minute, and Ponca City is your home now, is your job. But I got to imagine Harmony, the city of Harmony, and what you guys are able to accomplish there will always be a part of your heart.
You bet. My dad built that program in the early 70s up. They won a state championship there. To be honest with you, that was kind of my lifelong career goal, was to win a state championship back in Harmony, because we didn't get it done as a player. So I was kind of upset about that. I wanted to go back as a coach and kind of do that, and we were very fortunate to get that done. And then, it's led to some bigger and better things for me, some opportunities that, to be quite honest with you, if I told my dad what I was doing and the job I was doing and my responsibilities right now, he would say some weird thing from the 1960s about how fortunate I am.
Hey, why? Us old folks, we got to stick with the stuff we knew, right? So we can't come up with newfangled sayings here.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, but some of those terms I don't know what they mean, because I wasn't around just yet.
Yeah, I know. Well, when you get that education, you probably sound more like him than you realize right now, probably.
I do, and that's a good thing.
You're not ever that far away from Oklahoma State, literally and figuratively, but just up the road from Stillwater now. You see what's going on at Oklahoma State. You cover it as much as you can, or you absorb it as much as you can. It was kind of a rough off season, and now the COVID is making it even more difficult. How would you have liked to have been playing during that era when you didn't even know whether you were going to suit up or not?
Yeah, that'd be real tough on us. You know what I mean? I don't feel for those kids one bit. You know what I mean? There's not really a right decision, in my opinion. It's just one of those things we're just going to have to kind of fight through and see if they can get it done. If they can't, then, you know what I mean? My deal is on it. I'm not for sure how much you're going to get out of it with just two or three of your bigger conferences playing. And I know they've got some TV money involved and all of that kind of stuff, but I'm kind of old-fashioned, and now that I'm a high school guy, my biggest concern are those kids. So as long as they take care of those student-athletes first, I'm cool with whatever they do.
And you're probably privy to what's going on, at least from an outside-in look. I mean, they've got about every door covered that they could possibly cover to keep this thing in check and keep kids healthy. So, in that regard, they've done a lot of homework.
You bet. I actually think it's safer for them to be there than it is anywhere else because of the testing that they have available.
You played with some great players, Scott, and you're not going to say you were one of them, but I will. You keep in touch with people off the 90, 91, 92 teams, even to this day?
I just found out where Gilden was at not too recently. He's the head coach in Pittsburgh. He was one of my favorite guys. We roomed together. I'm Facebook friends with quite a few of my old teammates. Bear Scott and I are, childhood friends, and we're high school football coaches. We share a lot of ideas and throw a lot of things by. Let's see, Coach Parker is here naturally working for me. So, yeah, we see quite a few of them, especially, between Parker and his crew, which was just a hair ahead of me, and then my crew. When we go back to Stillwater, I get to see quite a few familiar faces.
Have you run across, and there's so many more, it seems like every year there's more Oklahoma State alumni in the coaching ranks. Do you run across many ex-Cowboys, or have you, at all levels that you've coached?
There are quite a few guys in and out of there that have done that. You know what I mean? It's hard to get into the college ranks. If you get in, it's kind of a grind, and you know how it is, man. You kind of got to know the right people, but in high school, it really kind of boils down to getting in and winning some ball games and then kind of finding the right spots you want to be at. So my deal on that was I didn't really care where I was at. I wanted to be at somewhere where I had a chance to win some football games. You know what I mean? But it's kind of morphed into up here. This is kind of my swan song in terms of coaching. Hopefully we'll turn this one around, and then I can retire and play with grandbabies and go fishing and stuff like that here for too long.
Hey, that retirement, Harmon, is not bad. You need to try it. You probably.
Hey, I can't hardly wait. You know what I mean?
I mean, I can give you some tips on that now. Although you would probably tell me I was retired when I was working too, so that would.
Yeah, I was fixing to say.
Thank you very much. I took that away from you, didn't I? Hey, last thing. It's the old common question, but you played in a lot of big games at Oklahoma State when you were here. When you're sitting around, you'll have time to tell the grandkids later on. But any game just off the top of your head that comes to mind when you're sitting around shooting the breeze with people?
To be honest with you, it's probably my first start. We played Colorado, who was the eventual national champions up there when I was a freshman. I thought I should have been broke the starting lineup about 3 or 4 games earlier, so I was kind of jaded and ready to get in there, but they held me back and just give me a few reps. And then finally, I think it was the 8th game of the year that we broke in, and we're having to defend Eric Bieniemy and Darian Hagan and Mike Pritchard, some guys that were in the NFL and still are in the NFL, a little bit with the running back that was up there. He's the OC with the Chiefs now, so that was probably me because I played very well that game, player of the game, for our side of the defense, and it kind of it reassured me that I could play at that level, and I wasn't just some Class A kid that was outmatched. Different
game now, isn't it, as you look at it?
Yes. Oh, yeah, probably number one, I'd get kicked out probably in the first quarter for targeting, and they would definitely pick on me back in there because those safeties, they got to do a lot more than we had to. We did a lot more run support. I might be a little fat linebacker in today's world.
I don't think that would be the case. But, hey, always good to catch up with you. Best of luck this year. I know talking to some of the people from the Ponca City area, they're excited. They're excited to see what happens if you can build off those 5 wins last year. And who knows, with a break here or there, nice roll, maybe you get into postseason.
Yeah, that's our goal. We got to try to sneak in there and see what happens. Ponca City deserves what it feels like to get in the playoffs, and it's been a long time. So that's our goal, and we're working hard to achieve it as a program. I got very fortunate to have some good assistants and some really good, hardworking young kids. So things are headed in the right direction.
Hey, Scott, always enjoy visiting and reliving some of the moments here at Oklahoma State, but best of luck, as we said. We'll be monitoring the old. You're just up the road. Hey, I may even sneak up there and watch you play a game or two, so I'll let you know.
We got a $2 million press box we'll put in.
Oh, man, that's an attraction enough. I don't think I've ever broadcast from a $2 million press box. Hey, buddy, best of luck. Say hello to Parker for me, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
All right, bud. That's Scott Harmon, one of the good guys and one of the great players we ever had here in the secondary. And